Welcome to Oklahoma City versus Tulsa Part 2. So in last week's video, I shared with you similarities and differences and some personality and design elements about Oklahoma City and about Tulsa. But last week I got online and I asked my friends who've lived in Tulsa and Oklahoma City what their opinion is of these places. And it was really interesting. And so today I'm going to share with you what my friends say about Tulsa and Oklahoma City. I also found out that Tulsans don't like Oklahoma City. We in Oklahoma City had no idea. And then I interview my friend and colleague Juliann, who is a realtor in Tulsa, and she's originally from Oklahoma City and she's moved there. And so today she's going to share with you her opinions and her thoughts on real estate and living in Tulsa. So I went online and I asked my friends who've lived in Oklahoma City and Tulsa what the pros and cons are and what the differences are. And for the most part, they said that both places are great, but that Tulsa's downtown is a little bit behind Oklahoma City's. Both places have been doing major development over the last 20-30 years, and Tulsa's downtown is not quite to the place that Oklahoma City's is. But they both have brand new, great, gorgeous arenas. They both have restaurants, music venues going on. Oklahoma City has a better zoo and a better science museum. But I think Tulsa's I think they're building a new science museum there. But what I didn't know, because I've lived in Oklahoma City almost my whole life, is that the people of Tulsa hold a grudge against Oklahoma City. Tulsa feels like they get the shaft because they're not the capital city and they're a little bit smaller. Tulsans feel like their town is better and should get more attention than Oklahoma City does. My friends from Oklahoma City who have moved to Tulsa said that people always talk to them about how it's good that they got out of that terrible city and moved to where they should live, in Tulsa, and that no one should ever move to Oklahoma City. I had no idea. All of us Oklahoma Cityans have just been hanging out, not knowing our little brother Tulsa was mad at us. So I looked up, and sure enough, there's this rivalry. And we have two great mayors, Mayor David Holt and Mayor Bynum of Tulsa. We have these great mayors, and they are working together to try to collaborate more between the two cities. Like, hey guys, why can't we just all get along and all be happy and all be excited about the development of our cities? So maybe some old school Tulsans need to lighten up and just accept the fact that we can all live here together in Oklahoma and be happy about where we live. And yes, Tulsans, we think your town is really pretty. Some people say that Oklahoma City is more cowboy, where Tulsa is more cosmopolitan. Another friend said Tulsa is more Midwestern, more like St. Louis, where Oklahoma City is more Southern, more like Dallas. Those are some comparisons. My friend Wendy, who is a writer, has this to say about Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Tulsa is awesome because it has prettier hills and trees, fascinating Art Deco architecture, and the best cheese skirts in the state. Cheese skirts are a way to make hamburgers, by the way. Oklahoma City is creative but unpretentious. Always pulls itself up by its bootstraps and boasts in nothing except tomorrow. And we can pretty much agree that in both places, the highways suck. Now let me bring in Juliann and let me share with you what Juliann has to say about Oklahoma City versus Tulsa. I have my friend and colleague here, Juliann, and Juliann is a realtor here in my office at RE/MAX First, but she lives and sells in Tulsa. So she has the unique experience of being an Oklahoma City gal who has been transplanted to Tulsa. So this is Juliann Strange Test.
Hi.
So if you decide to move to Tulsa, let me know and I'll get you hooked up with Juliann. So thanks for joining.
Absolutely, thank you.
So Juliann, you've been working in Tulsa for a while now. What are the main differences you see between Oklahoma City and Tulsa?
Yeah, the main difference that we see in Tulsa is the green space. Tulsa has an incredible park system and riverwalk system throughout all of Tulsa and the surrounding areas. They have the gathering place that has been there about 3 years and it's close to downtown. It's an absolutely incredible park that has all sorts of amenities. Tulsa also has great shopping areas such as Brady Arts District, Utica Square. They also have the Brookside area that's wonderful that has lots of restaurants and shoppings within a square mile of each other that you can go and spend an afternoon that I feel like you really don't have here in Oklahoma City.
Okay, so like we have a lot of shopping and restaurants in Oklahoma City. So can you describe the difference between the two?
Yeah.
Like maybe a personality or a style?
Yeah, Brookside has a lot of unique family-owned restaurants as well as the nicer chain restaurants such as the high-end sushi restaurants. They have boutiques that are specific to Tulsa that are small family-owned places as well, all in one area close together. This is an area in Tulsa as well as Utica Square where you can go and spend several hours and have lunch and go to several different stores and make a whole afternoon out of it instead of going from one location to another.
Yeah, even if you settle in Oklahoma City, a weekend in Tulsa is fabulous.
It really is. There's so much to do there.
And I think in the last several years, they've really developed the trails, the walking trails, biking trails.
They absolutely have. Those are huge. They've put so much money into those trail systems and they lead throughout Tulsa as well as downtown. And you can start on the trails and get even to the gathering place from there.
So compare like downtown Oklahoma City to downtown Tulsa. What are they, how do they contrast from each other?
Absolutely. So downtown Oklahoma City has spent a lot of money in the last 10 to 15 years to really boost the overall quality of the buildings, the shops that are down there, as well as the restaurants. I feel like Tulsa is getting there. And there's a lot of development currently going on there, but they're a few years behind Oklahoma City. But I feel like Tulsa has a unique style that you don't see in Oklahoma City. It has more of the Art Deco style buildings that are absolutely gorgeous, that have been renovated and are being renovated currently. I feel like downtown Tulsa has more apartments that you can actually afford to live in. And Oklahoma City doesn't have that. You have your high-end, extremely expensive in downtown, and then there's not much else in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. So real estate wise, as far as like styles of construction or housing, is it the same or different? Is there like, is it the same kind of construction?
You see pretty much the same. In the older areas of Tulsa, you'll see more of the redone houses that are from the 1920s and 30s and 40s that might have siding or partially bricked. But your typical house in Tulsa is going to be brick or stucco. Similar style, not much different. And you're going to get about the same house that you can get in both towns.
Right. The prices aren't that different. So Juliann, tell everybody about the Work Remote program.
Absolutely. So Tulsa has a really unique program by the George Kaiser Family Foundation.
Kaiser's,
yes.
Okay.
They have put together a program called Tulsa Remote that gives people $10,000 a year up front to move to Tulsa and live somewhere within the Tulsa city limits, and all you have to do is work remotely. They give you a stipend for rent and it's a pretty unique program. It's getting people that you know, are able to work anywhere, which a lot of us are able to do now thanks to COVID and the unique styles that we're all doing. So it's a great program to look into if you want to give a new city a try.
Does Tulsa feel like a small town, or does it feel big like Oklahoma City?
I feel like it has a little bit of both. I feel like parts of it feel like a small town, but there's still so much to do in Tulsa. Just like Oklahoma City, there's art, there's theater, there's entertainment, there's unique food options to go to in Tulsa. So I feel like there's a lot of options there.
That's what both towns have: their own ballet, they have their own opera, they have museums and plenty of music venues, and yeah, it's its own little.
I would say that Oklahoma City has Tulsa on the sports, but the ballpark in Tulsa for the amateur baseball stadium is wonderful. You've got the hockey team, the Oilers, that is a semi-pro program. So you still have sports and entertainment to go to, just not on the level that Oklahoma City has.
If you want more information about moving to Oklahoma, about Oklahoma real estate, go to my website, oklahomahomeseller.com. If you're interested in moving to the Tulsa area, I can get you connected with Juliann. Come back next week where we head south, Oklahoma City versus Houston, Texas.